What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Stay Strong, Stay You podcast. It is another big day here for this episode of What's Going On, Monica.
Hey, what up, what up, what up? It's your girl, Monica. I'm glad to be here. I'm super excited. Another one of our shows with a special guest. I know that means something to me, has been inspiring me. And I know he's inspiring you and inspiring a whole bunch of others. So I say we go ahead and get it started.
I say so. Let's do it.
All right. So today's guest, we're bringing on David Sledge Jr. He's the creator and founder of the Love Project Collective based out of San Diego, California. He created this movement following a challenging experience in his life in hopes that he could lead and encourage others to loving themselves so that they can live a life filled with happiness and true abundance. So welcome in David Sledge Jr.
Hey, I appreciate y'all, Monica and Becca. Thank y'all so much. It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you.
We knew we had to bring you on, especially after doing Wednesday with you. So we are so incredibly excited to have you here.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate it. I know we've been trying to do this for a minute, so it's really good and cool that we got it together and we figured it out.
Absolutely. So one of our first questions is, what is it about you that makes you stand out?
Wow. That makes you think. What is it about me that makes me stand out? I would say just my caring attitude and just my knack for seeing people for truly who they are and bringing that goodness out of people and everything. I think I do a great job of just seeing people, hearing people, and just noticing them. And I feel like that's something that's missing in our world. Because a lot of times we don't take the time to just see people. We ask people, hey, how are you doing? But do we really want to know how they're doing? But I take that time to, I really want to know how are you doing and what's going on in your life, and just taking the time to appreciate people, because I think people are dope.
Absolutely. You definitely have one of those active listening ears that sees people for who they are and with no judgment, like hands down. And that's definitely something that I think that is absolutely incredible about you. We need more people who can just, see the heart and character that people have and be willing to listen. So you have a heart of gold in my book.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Becca. I received that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna totally agree with Becca. That's the one thing that definitely has drawn us to you, is the fact that you definitely are always an active listener. And not just that, but you actually, you know, give feedback, and you actually almost empathize and can feel exactly what somebody's feeling based off of what they're telling you. And that's the experience I've had with you in sharing my wins on Win Wednesday, is actually seeing how attentive you are to us, in how much you really just do care about listening to other people's wins, accomplishments, how they're feeling, and just doing what you can to try to help somebody.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Monica. And it's really important because, somebody can tell you one thing, but if you're actively listening, you can hear the pain or the hurt or happiness or the vibration in their voice if you just listen and take the time to really just see them. So I try to practice that, and that's something I had to learn throughout my life.
That's what I was going to ask you is, do you feel like you always been an active listener? Like, how did you get to the point where you are this incredible active listener?
That's a good question, Becca. Honestly, I feel like I really got in tune with it as I got older. When I was younger, I had so much like trauma build up and so much anger. So really a lot of my responses at the time were just like, I wasn't listening. Like it was just reactions, right? So, but I've learned as I started losing people and I started losing situations and stuff, because I chose not to listen and I chose to hear what I wanted to hear or not to see people. I started to lose certain things. So, as I went through my healing process and learning how to love myself, that's one of the things that I picked up and learned. Everybody wants to be, people want to be noticed. They want to be heard. And a lot of times you can't act out of a reaction. You have to sit there and you have to hear what people are telling you or what a person is going through. And it really, at the end of the day, it could save somebody's life or help somebody that's in a dark place. So you know, that's it's one of the things I just picked up on my healing journey.
I think that is one of the greatest things that you could pick up on your healing journey, because I also feel like I think I grew up like knowing about active listening just because like I needed other people to actively listen to me. So it's something that I was willing to give back. But I think when you're able just to like actively listen, you're also just able to give your full presence of just being there. And sometimes
Yeah.
that's all we need is we need somebody just to sit there while we just vent and let all of our, you know, baggage release from our back.
Yep.
So I absolutely love that. And I think it's a true talent of yours. So I absolutely love
I appreciate that. Where you at, Monica?
I'm right here. I think we getting ready to let's go to the next question. I want to really get into it, because this one is the one that is really going to require a thought process, and I think it's going to actually allow you the opportunity to share, you know, kind of what you've experienced and what you went through.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
So
ready.
our next question is, you know that our mission is to encourage and inspire to help others recognize that their strength is giving their pain a voice. So how have you turned your pain into your power, and what are you doing these days to encourage others to give their pain a voice?
Okay. I might have to give, because I struggle with the 2-part questions, remembering, so I may have to get you to let me hear that one again.
Right.
Actually, can you say that one more time?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
So our mission, our mission as Stay Strong, Stay You is to encourage and inspire others to recognize that their strength is giving their pain a voice.
Okay.
So how have you turned your pain into your power?
Okay. Perfect. So, I mean, to answer this question, I feel like I have to go through my story. And, you know, for me, it started in 2016. It probably was one of the worst years of my life, and really was trying, and hit me with a lot of trial and tribulations, but it allowed me to grow. And the incident that happened to me happened in Tallahassee, Florida. I was riding the bus at the time because I didn't have a car. I was still a college student, and I was going to see my ex-girlfriend or my girlfriend at the time. She's my ex now. And everything was cool. Like I rode the bus so many times. And actually earlier that year, I rode the bus from Florida all the way to South Padre. So never had any issues or anything like that. It was always a decent time, and I always kept to myself. But this time, I don't know what happened and why it happened. But as soon as I got off the platform, you know, and everywhere I go, I make friends. I talk to people, and that's just what I do. So we were walking off the platform from the buses, and all of a sudden, like 15 U.S. Marshals pulled up, and it was like an ambush, right? So no questions were asked. You know, it was just everybody ran from me, but all the guns and everything, it was pointed at me, right? So the head guy, he walks up and he asks, "What's your name?" And I'm like, you know, David Sledge Jr. or whatever the case is. And he's like, "No," he said, "F that. What's your real name?" With his handgun pointed at my chest. So at the time, I dropped everything that was in my hand, and I knew I had my military ID. And my parents and them, everybody used to make fun of me because I never carried around a wallet. And this was the perfect time, honestly, that I was so glad that I didn't have a wallet. So I knew if I grabbed my military dependent ID, everything would change. So I allowed him to grab my hand, and he put his hand in my pocket, or put my hand in my pocket. And I grabbed my military ID. And as soon as I did that, everything changed. His tone changed, and then everybody lowered their guns, and they said, you know, we got the wrong person. And this situation had me like so angry. Like I wasn't even scared. Like during the time period, you know, everything flashed before me because I thought I was gonna die. I just, you know, it was so much going on, you know, the Eric Gardners and all that kind of stuff. And I just thought, you know, that was gonna be my fate. And during that time period when everything was happening, I kind of like blacked out just a little bit. And the question that kept popping in my head was, you know, if I was to die today, what would my legacy be? And during that time period, I wasn't the greatest person. I just had so much like trauma built up, and just wasn't who I am today. And, you know, that situation, it took me a while to realize that, you know, even though I went through a traumatic experience, I can't have hate built up in my heart. And, you know, it took me, like I said, losing people and people not wanting to be around me, and me not having my shine anymore, you know, because that's who makes me me, like the smile, you know, me caring about others. You know, I was just bitter, angry, pissed off at the world. And it took me going through that situation for me to realize, like, hey, you know, you got two choices, bro. Like, you can learn from this situation and grow from this situation, and try to help others that's been through similar situations or that's going through something else where they feel like the world is against them. Or you can be this angry person, this pissed off person, and put hate into the world. But if you make that decision, there's already hate in the world. There's already chaos in the world. So you're just adding on to what's already going and not making a solution off of what happened. Because everybody can be angry. We go through so many things. And I feel like, you know, I took my pain and I took everything I went through, and I kind of just, I felt it. For the first time in my life, I felt the pain, and I felt the obstacles, and I felt the negativity. But I've learned to not let it consume me. And I learned to work through it. I learned to go to counseling, therapy. I learned to pray. I just learned to really connect to my source and really just figure out why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. And, you know, in 2016, the idea of the Love Project actually came about. And I didn't know I was gonna call it the Love Project at the time, but you know, one of my saving graces that year was an album called The Healing Component by Mick Jenkins. And he talked about, you know, loving others and all this kind of stuff. And as soon as I heard that album, I was like, bro, I want to do something with love, but I don't want it to be corny. And, you know, it took me a while to figure out a name, but then everything came together. But I feel like that 2016 year, you know, was the hardest year of my life, but it was needed on my personal journey.
Whew, I absolutely love it. I mean, I don't like people experiencing pain, but I always love hearing the comeback story. Like,
I appreciate that.
Put the work into this themselves. And one of the things that I love that you said is that you sat in your pain, like you felt it. And I think that's crucial, because I feel like a lot of people just ignore it. They wipe it under the rug or whatever, and they don't want to talk about it. And sometimes you really do need to sit in the pain and really just feel it, so that you can know that you don't want to stay there. And that's the other thing, is like, if you feel it, you don't want to sit and let it consume you. Like, oh my gosh, I think your whole story and who you are is absolutely phenomenal. And the way that you recognize your anger and the hatred within your side of yourself, to now have the freaking Love Project and be such a shining light in this world, which I know that you still were, you know. So I just absolutely love your story.
Thank you, Becca. Thank you. And then before we move on, what was the second part of that question? I just want to make sure I answered.
What are you doing to encourage others to give their pain a voice?
What am I doing? Okay. So the biggest thing right now is I'm using my story and the things that I've been through personally to really connect with other people, you know, because like I said before, we all go through stuff and we all have a story. And, you know, a lot of times, and I think you said it earlier, people just want to be heard. They just want to be listened to. So I connected my pain, my story, and I'm using that as a foundation to really go around spreading love and noticing people. And, you know, I want to give people, you know, we got to give people grace. And we also have to allow people to see, you know, I was like this in my life, but now I'm like this. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, which I'm not, but I want people to know, like, it doesn't matter what you went through in your past. Like, you know, if you were angry, you were pissed off, you were hurt, you were all this stuff, you don't have to be that today. And you can change who you are just through feeding yourself, whether that be reading books, going to therapy, learning how to forgive yourself, healing. You know, those are things that, you know, allow us to not dim our lights anymore. And that's what I want to show people. Like, you know, what you went through is part of your story, but it doesn't define who you are. And that's really the Love Project. The Love Project is to shine light on people and help people realize like you're special. And it's doing the rose thing like I did on my birthday. It's going out, and I got more stuff we're working on. It's going out and asking people questions and really sparking the interest in love and how people choose to love themselves and how they choose to love others and everything. So, it's really just, like I said, taking my story, taking what I've been through and shining that love that I have for myself into the world.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And it's just amazing. I'll tell you, from when you answered the first part of that question, there was something you said that just gave me chills all through my body. And it was the question you asked yourself, that if I died today, what would my legacy be? Right? Look, I got chills just saying it again, right? Because it puts into perspective, like, it makes you just really think about, like, what if I did die today? Like, what would my legacy be? And I think it's definitely incredible how you took what you went through and you actually got to feel that pain, right? And once you felt that pain, one of the things that I took from what you said was you did not let it consume you.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the hardest things that people do. We try to get past it, we try to get over it, but we allow it to consume us and consume our lives. And we revolve our lives around this one incident, not knowing how to deal with it. And so, yeah, I mean, you said some really great things, David. I mean, gosh, you are definitely, and I was going to bring up that what you did on your birthday, but you brought it out because I think that was definitely incredible. For those of you who are listening or watching, if you go and follow the Love Project Collective, David did this reel for his birthday. He went out and gave roses to just anyone who was wanting to receive one. And it wasn't the symbolism of the rose, it was the symbolism of him just trying to show somebody that, hey, you are somebody and you are loved, regardless of whether it's me or anyone else. Like, know that there's somebody in this world that loves you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I think it's incredible. I'm telling you that you've been doing some really great things, that
Thank
we've been,
you.
Wonderful supporters of you. We know exactly what you see. We see your vision. So I think that's just dope. It's so dope. You're doing
Thank
some
you,
really
Monica.
great
I
things,
appreciate
David.
that. I appreciate that.
One question that wasn't planned yet, it comes up, is what is David Sledge's definition of strength?
Man, y'all hit me with some great questions, making me think for real. It's not the typical questions that you get asked on podcasts, but my definition of strength, I would say vulnerability. I feel like that's a big thing, especially as a man. We don't really get taught to share our feelings, and especially as a Black man, that's not really something that we're taught. And as I get older, I'm realizing that the strength of vulnerability is beautiful. Like that to me is strength, to be able to share your feelings, to be able to comprehend your feelings, to be able to communicate your feelings, and to be able to share your feelings and really understand what's going on with you. And if something's not right, you're able to be like, hey, I'm going through this, I'm not feeling good lately and all this kind of stuff. But to be able to be human and share that, I feel like that's the definition of strength. It's not walking around here wounded and being pissed off at the world and keeping everything to yourself and keeping it bottled up. So when something happens, you're just snapping. And I feel like as a man, a lot of times that's what we do. And that's what I used to do. And that's not healthy. Longevity, like health wise, that's not healthy. And then also, it's not healthy, like when you're trying to be with a woman or another individual or anything like that, or you're trying to have friendships or relationships, like you can't operate like that. And that's just something that I learned. And, and really from Clubhouse, being vulnerable, man, is super dope.
Yes, I've definitely seen your growth with that, and that's why I asked the question, because I kind of knew that that was going to be along the lines of your answer, and I absolutely love that. And I think, I think definitely more men need to recognize that their strength is like giving their pain a voice and like being vulnerable, like you said, because it's okay for men to have emotions and for you guys to open up and talk about it. And that's one thing I really value about you is your honesty and your vulnerability, and that allows other people to pour into you and to help you out. So I absolutely love that.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Becca.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things too, David, what you brought up was, what men are taught not to do, right? They're taught not to cry. They're taught to suck it up.
Yep.
They're taught to be a man, right? Be a man, suck it up, quit crying. And it's those things that they start to create these ideas of what they're supposed to be doing, which is why they internalize all of those feelings, and don't talk about it because it's it's not recognized to be okay to cry. It's
Yep.
not, and so I appreciate you sharing that because I think it is very important that we do what we can to make sure that men um, understand that it's okay to not be okay, but it's okay to share your feelings. Um, and I think that's one of the biggest things that we've seen, especially during COVID, the rise in mental health, and people actually getting help through therapy, through counseling, and then organizations like ours, our communities and things like that. So I definitely appreciate you bringing that out because that is one thing that we've seen is men not having the strength to say, I'm not okay.
Yep. And you know what's crazy though? I'm really truly blessed that we found Clubhouse, just for the fact like there's a lot of rooms and there's a lot of conversations, like you said, about men's mental health and like check-ins and really just allowing men to share their feelings or just people in general. And I'm just glad that it's up and coming, but it's a outlet and space for people. And I feel like before COVID, you really didn't find stuff like that. And it's truly beautiful to see that and to see more men and more people hopping on, being vulnerable and opening up, because there's different ways to seek therapy. Everybody doesn't want to go to an actual therapist or be in a room. Some people like to do it online or over the phone. Some people like to do it through Clubhouse and everything. So you just have to find what works for you. But there's listening ears and there's open spaces for everybody. You just have to seek it and find it.
Absolutely. Clubhouse has definitely been a game changer, I think, for a lot of people. And that's where we all met.
Yep.
So, love Clubhouse for a lot of different reasons. And I think it helps that with Clubhouse, you can be in the comfort of your home or your car or anything along those lines. And also like you're not showing your face other than your profile picture. And I think,
Yep.
I think that helps other people because sometimes it's the fact that you are crying and you don't want people to see, but you're still able to give your pain a voice. So whatever it may be. So I absolutely love Clubhouse, and I think it's going in an incredible direction. I need to hop back in there this week, maybe. But
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Me
I'm-
and David are always in there. So yeah. What we got next? What's the third question?
Our third and final question is, what is your message to that individual who is struggling or maybe thinking about throwing in the towel to their life? What is just some encouraging words that you want to put out into the universe today?
Man, these questions. All right, so something that I talked about on Wednesday, I can't remember what week it was, but I mean it's sound advice, and that's the advice that I give my kids and that I give other people that I talk to is don't give up, right? So I know that sounds simple and everything like that, but don't give up. at the end of the day, a lot of things that we go through, you know, they're a big deal when it happens, right? You know, like I said, and the trauma that I talked about, that's just one trauma that I experienced through my life. So, and I experienced a lot of different things. And, you know, at the same time, I chose not to give up. I chose to keep going. And I chose not to allow those things that I went through to really define who I am, but really structure my life. And I tell somebody that's struggling and that wants to give up, just keep going, because at the end of the day, it's going to get better. It may not seem like it today. It may not seem like it tomorrow or next week or next year, but just keep fighting and really reach out and seek whatever help you can use or you can get. And, you know, just continue to try to love yourself. But I tell people, don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. That's my biggest message. And that's everywhere I go, that's why I tell people, don't give up.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're looking for a light to continue to, you know, stay here, allow David's light to be your light. You know, sometimes we need that person to, you know, give us a reason just for the next day or whatever. So I absolutely love that. I don't know if I have much more to add on to that because you just dropped all the gems.
You know, and it's the hardest part because, you know, that moment when, and we've all been there. So that very moment when we're actually wanting to throw the towel in or actually quit or give up, right? Is the hardest thing for us to realize is that it could be that very next milestone that is your breakthrough.
Yep.
You know? And so when you do give up or throw in your towel, you fail to see that opportunity, you know? And I think that's what it is. These are opportunities that we actually get in life, you know, to be able to break through, to grow, to help someone else.
Yep.
Right. So I appreciate that. Don't give up. You know me, mine's just keep going. Just keep going.
Yep.
Even if it's one step at a time, you know, one day at a time, one foot in front of the other, however you want to look at it. You know, like David said, don't give up. And I'm going to say it, just keep going.
Yep. And because another thing that I always talk about as well is you can't have a test without a testimony. Amen. And everything that we go through is a story for somebody else, right? And that's how I look at stuff. Like the things that I've been through, I can speak on those things and I can help somebody else that's going through them or that's struggling with it. And, you know, that's the beauty of life. Like our stories matter. And that's why I kind of, it kind of irks me sometimes. I see those posts on Instagram and Twitter and different places. And people say like, shut up. Nobody cares about your story or something along the lines, right? Just keep working. And I'm like, you know, to me, I think that's very toxic. And that's a toxic mindset to have because people do care about your story. They don't care about your excuses. And I think those are the difference. But at the end of the day, your story matters. It's your story. It's your voice. It's what you went through. That matters. That's important, you know. And I feel like we have to start shedding more light on people's stories, and that's why I tell people don't give up because your testimony or your test is somebody else's testimony, and you know somebody at the end of the day somebody needs you.
Mm-hmm. I think Becca said it the other day. We did another podcast and you know, you don't realize how sharing your story could be someone's survival guide.
Yep.
And how many lives you could be changing by just sharing what you went through.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's deep right there.
It gave you the chills, huh, David?
It did. That's deep right there. That's super deep.
I don't think I realized that until I started sharing my story and what I, you know, have been doing on TikTok and then having, you know, it's like came in a circle because, you know, I wanted to give up on my life and have had multiple times of that throughout my story. And then I've had people reaching out to me by me speaking on my story, sharing my testimonies. People are like, you saved my life. It's like this weird, like, you know, people do really cling on to the testimony, which can be a guide or a survival guide, you know, for somebody else. So I think that's why it's so important to have that opening heart and be willing to give, even if it's that listening ear to somebody else, so we can help another person, you know, see the hope and see the light within themselves. Because I think that's one powerful thing that, you know, a quote that I've heard through Monica is like, so often we're looking for that light at the end of the tunnel, yet really the light is within, and we just have to be able to see that. And how long do you think it took you in your whole healing journey to recognize that you're the light, David?
That's, man, I would say probably the last 4 years. One of the biggest things for me, and it was truly a blessing, I moved to the Middle East when I was 22 years old, after my incident with the police and everything that I went through. And really, I tell people that allowed me to get away from everybody. Like, I met so many people there, and I didn't keep up with my social medias. And I really talked to friends in the States whenever I could, but it was every so often. But being over there really allowed me to go in with myself, within myself, and really find who I was, but also realize that I am that light.
You are.
And I feel like, you know, being by yourself and taking that time to sow into yourself is very important as well on your healing journey and your self-love journey as well. Because if you don't know yourself, at the end of the day, you know, how can you really sow love into other people?
Yeah, that's definitely incredible. Yeah, my battery almost died there, y'all. So I was like, oh no. But yeah, that's definitely incredible, David. We appreciate you sharing with us today, man. I know that it's definitely going to be inspirational to somebody, and somebody's really going to, you know, just take what you've said and know that they still got a chance in this life. And I think that's the one thing is we lose hope, you know, and our ultimate goal is to continue to give hope that things will be different, that things will change, as long as you just keep fighting.
I agree. And can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So with this conversation, I always have to put this disclaimer out there. I want people to know that healing and self-love, they're journeys and not destinations, right? So you don't get to this point where, like, after a day or after a year, you're like, I'm healed. It's a ever growing process, right? You have to feed into yourself every day. And, you know, also we share our stories and we tell, you know, who we are and all that kind of stuff. But I tell people at the end of the day, like, I'm still learning. Like, I'm not at a place where, you know, I'm not learning anymore, you know, I'm not growing anymore, you know, within my self-love journey and within my healing journey as well. So, you know, if you don't see the results that you're looking for now, keep going, because it's a process. Keep feeding into yourself, like I said earlier. But I want people to know that, because I don't want people, I feel like a lot of times I see, I'll call them self-love gurus and stuff. But I see these people and they make self-love seem like, you know, it's a final destination. Like you arrive at it and you're always going to be happy. You're never going to have bad days. You know, you're never going to feel pain or anything like that. And that's not what that is, right? Self-love is the foundation of tools that you can use when you do go through things, so that you're not at a place of where I used to be, where you don't want to be here anymore, right? So, you know, that's what self-love is. It's a foundation of tools that you can use to cope with the things that you experience within your life.
Mic
drop.
Like, facts. Like, I can't follow up on that other than I freaking love that you just said self-love is a toolbox. Like, it totally is. 100%.
100%. Yeah. I mean, it was like, man, I was like, we should just end it like on that note.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. This is why I love interviewing like incredible people like yourself. We'll put it in we'll put it in the notes or in the description of the podcast here on Anchor and also on YouTube. But where can people connect with you or reach out to you, or how can they support you?
Okay. The biggest thing right now is Instagram. And I also have TikTok. I'm still trying to figure that out. But all my social medias is at the Love Project Collective. So you can DM me, you can hit me up. I respond. I'm not Hollywood yet. So, I'm just playing. But yeah, I definitely respond. And any type of DM and stuff that I get with encouragement or people are reaching out, I take it serious, because at the end of the day, everybody's busy. Everybody has things they're going through. So for you to take time to reach out to me, I always I get excited and I always answer. So that's right now. Like I said, Instagram is my biggest platform, and at the Love Project Collective, that's where you can find me.
Yes. Again, I'm from me and Becca and the Stay Strong, Stay You community. We definitely want to say thank you, David, for joining us, for being a guest on this episode of the podcast. Again, we appreciate everything that you're doing. You're inspiring us, and you're inspiring so many incredible people. And it's all because of the things that you believe in, and you're following your heart. And I appreciate you for that. I appreciate everything that you're doing. Don't stop, no matter how hard, right? I'm gonna tell you, don't give up, because like you said, we're human. We all go through the same emotions. This is just it's life. It's revolving. Things change, and as you start to elevate, things get harder. Others
That's
get,
true.
and so that's what they say. Higher levels, new devils.
New
What I
devils.
mean? So I just want to say thank you again. I appreciate you being here with us. You've said so many incredible things. I know I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna just take some really good notes, because that whole, if I die today, like, what will my legacy be? That's something I really need to sit down and really think about. You know what I mean? And it's not that I never thought about it. It's just, you got to remind yourself, like, why, what is it that you want that you want people to remember about you? How do I continue to inspire, and how do I inspire more?
Yep.
So you definitely encouraged me today, David. So I appreciate you so much.
Hey, I appreciate y'all. I want to give y'all flowers. I love what y'all doing. That's why I love connecting with y'all. And y'all really always shine light on other people. And I feel like that's a trait. That's a beautiful trait to have. And you take the time to do stuff like this and share people's stories, and share encouragement and share love, and just share like all this abundance, right? And I think it's truly dope, and y'all are beautiful human beings. And I just want to tell y'all, don't give up. Keep shining. At the end of the day, keep shining, because what y'all doing, somebody needs it. Somewhere in the world, somebody needs this. And it's truly important, and it's special, really special. So keep doing it. And I love you guys.
We love you. So thank you so much for being here, David. We truly appreciate your time, as your time is a huge gift in this world. So thank you for spreading so much love, and continue to spread it throughout the Love Project. You know that we are here to support you in any way, shape, or form. And we're just so grateful for this time. So with that being said, guys, you guys have heard it from the one and only David Sledge. And we hope that you go over and show him some love and support, but continue to be the resilient warriors that you are within this game of life. But no matter what, stay strong, stay you, because you got this.
Peace.